Hey guys, welcome to Christina Cakes It. I'm Christina and today I'm making a mermaid tail cake. So this cake is for our friend's daughter. Her name is Catherine and she's turning 6 years old. And she requested this cake and I'm excited because I've already done a mermaid cake for my channel, but this cake is gonna look completely different. So let's go ahead and get started. So to prep the cake layers, I did separate out my batter into 3 equal parts, as you can see, and then I dyed it using gel food coloring into mermaid colors, as was requested by the birthday girl. So this cake is going to be 4 layers, and these are 9-inch pans, and what I did is I put dollops of cake batter and then I swirled them to make the mermaid colors look really cool on the inside. After I layer my cake batter into the different colors, I'm going to use a knife to just swirl it around and make a marbled effect. So this is a 4-layer cake, so I did do this twice. After my cake layers have cooled, I then cut the domes off and I did cut the caramelization around the side, and you guys can see how pretty the swirls look on the inside. Next, I'm going to go ahead and stack and frost and crumb coat the cake and get it ready for the mermaid scales. One thing to note is I did put a layer of simple syrup on both sides of each cake layer, and that is definitely the secret weapon to keeping cakes fresh. So this cake is going to be covered in mermaid scales, and I actually did prep them ahead of time because I knew it was going to take forever to cut all of them out, but I do want to show you guys how I did this. So I have my homemade marshmallow fondant, and I'm just going to roll it out and use a small cookie cutter to create circles. Something special about this cake is some of the scales are going to be gold, so let me show you how I created those. So you can see I prepped a ton of gold scales ahead of time using gold luster dust. So I'm using the Pharaoh's gold. This is definitely really popular in the cake world, and it comes in powder form, and I'm just going to take a little bit and I'm just going to paint it directly onto the fondant. And this does dry pretty quickly, and I gave mine 2 or 3 coats until I got it to the color that I wanted. So this is how I made the special gold scales. I'm going to use this again for some other fondant details, so I'm just going to set it aside. So if you're like me and you need to prep your fondant details ahead of time, all I did was I cut out all my circles and I placed them in layers between waxed paper, and I put them in Tupperware, and they did stay pretty soft, and I've used this before when I had to make fondant stuff ahead of time. So this is definitely my trick, and you do want to put the wax paper in between. That helps keep them soft. So I did make these like 4 days ago and they are perfect. So now I'm going to start applying the scales to my cake. So my cake has been sitting in the refrigerator for about an hour, so it is crusted because I'm going to be using my Wilton dab and hold to adhere my fondant scales to the side of my cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint a little bit of my dab and hold along the bottom here. And I'm going to start applying my scales, and for the very bottom layer I did cut them in half so that there would be a straight edge. And there is no pattern in applying these. I am going to have a little bit more of the turquoise color in the cake. I do know that. but I'm just gonna apply them as I think they look nice. So after I finish lining the bottom with my scales, I'm gonna start my second layer. And for this, I'm gonna be using the full circle. And what I wanna do is I wanna start it in the middle between two of the bottom scales, and I'm just gonna put this about halfway down here. So now that my cake is covered in my mermaid scales, I'm gonna go ahead and work on some of the fondant details. So you guys can see that I did make these little fondant seashells ahead of time, and then I started my mermaid tail cake topper. So to do this, I have a little silicone mold, and you're gonna see I'm painting in cornstarch, and this is to help the seashells come out of the mold easily, or you know, you can use this for any type of fondant mold. So I'm just taking my marshmallow fondant and I'm just pressing it in here. And I'm gonna start to cut away the excess. And then I'm going to just pull apart, and here's my shell. So just press into the mold. Cut away your excess, pull it apart. So for my tail cake topper, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm painting my cornstarch in here. Going to press my fondant into the mold. You can even use a rolling pin to really make sure that all the little details get picked up. Really apply the pressure. Cut away the excess. So this mold was actually more difficult to get out. And what I found is if you put this in the freezer for about 10 minutes, it's a little bit easier. But it's gonna be the same thing. Pull it apart. And here it is. So like I said, if you have trouble getting it out, just pop it into the freezer and it hardens a little bit, making it easier. So what I did is I just made two and I inserted a cake pop stick, and I did want it to harden, so that's why I made it ahead of time, because it's gonna stick up. So I did make this a couple days ahead. So just like I painted my Mermaid Scales gold, I do want to paint this topper gold as well. So I'm using the same luster dust, and I'm gonna start painting this in. So I'm probably gonna have to do a couple coats of this. This is like the star of the cake, so I want it to look really good. So I am just gonna paint the first side and let it dry before turning it over, because I know if I paint it here and I set it down, it's just gonna mess it up. So what I'm gonna do now is add a fresh layer of frosting to the top, because I'm gonna add some crushed up graham cracker that's gonna look like sand. So this is just bright white buttercream. And I'm not worried about it being smooth because it's gonna get covered in my graham cracker anyway. So now I'm just going to put my graham cracker crumbs on the top of the cake. I can kind of press it into it so that hopefully not too much falls off. And now I'm just going to start placing my shells around my sand. And I'm painting a little bit of buttercream on the back of these so that they will stick better. All right, my mermaid cake is complete, and I love how it turned out, and I hope that Catherine does too. And if you guys like this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.